So you use the vacuum bleeder arrangement for storing dry goods, things that are dried. You can do it for seeds, for grains, for things like yeast flakes, and other powders like powdered soy milks and things of that nature, for spices, for anything that you want to keep dry. They do make a vacuum chamber of this same design that is for the quart size jars. So it could be these smaller jars and half pints and pints, rather than having the large one. We got the large one here so that we could access the larger size jars with it that were odd sized. So you don't want to do, again, any fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, anything like that. This is not a canning method because the heat canning is designed to kill bacteria. This is simply oxygen exclusion to prevent oxidation and the rancidity process from the fats that are in seeds and grains, the germ and so forth, from going bad and then making that not only unpalatable but unhealthy. And dry goods or dried fruit like these raisins here from grapes, the sugar content is the primary mechanism that preserves them and keeps them, but you can also increase their longevity to a degree with oxygen exclusion. However, it's sometimes not recommended because there are sometimes bacteria that are anaerobic and they could end up thriving in a dried fruit environment with just the sugar. And when you rotate stock, one of the parts of rotating stock is looking for mold and things like that. If you find some mold, you need to discard it. But for the most part, the sugar will preserve it and just eat it in a systematic manner. All right, we're going to be looking at a way to preserve food that's not heat processed. So things like dry goods, heat isn't going to be used for doing that. Heat canning is only used for vegetables and fruits that you want to preserve long term and keep them from spoiling. On the other hand, things like grains or nuts can go rancid over time. The oils essentially oxidize and then become rancid or pro-oxidative and are unhealthful. So one way to maintain that freshness is to do an oxygen exclusion process. And there are a number of ways to do that. Food Saver makes a line of products that are helpful for that. They actually have a electric vacuum chamber that sucks the air out and excludes the oxygen from the storage area. And you can also add oxygen absorbing material into that chamber as well. But if there's not a seal, then that is going to continue to absorb oxygen from outside as well. So in order to use this in an off-grid situation, we go to our auto parts store and purchase a brake bleeder. And it has a number of attachments with it for various things. And we're going to be using this as a vacuum creator inside of our storage jar here. This is a jar full of almonds. You want to take the ring off, and then there's two sizes. There's the small mouth and the wide mouth jars that have different lids, but you have your flat off, and then just go ahead and push that on over top of it. And there's that seal, that gasket around the outside there will seal around it. And then once it's on there securely, then you can apply your vacuum, and you'll just put that over the top into the hole in the top there, and then start sucking the air out. And you'll notice the gauge will start to climb. Make sure you keep a good seal, and you want to just keep sucking it until it gets to a point where it's not climbing any further than where it stops. So it kind of plateaus out and doesn't climb any further, and then you have your seal. And you can check that, of course, just the same way that you would check a steam canned or water bath canned or pressure canned type of a situation. Make sure that button has been sucked down. So this is climbing up here. So this climbed and plateaued, and then we pulled our plug out. You heard a little bit of a suck from the vacuum being pulled into it. And then when we take this top off, we'll know we have a seal if we don't pull our flat off at the same time. So we take this off, and if it didn't seal, this comes off with a little bit of effort, but if it hadn't sealed, it would come off. So the button is putting away there, not popping, so we've got a seal. And so there's our dry goods. We can just use this keeper ring here for later if we want to keep a retainer there. Just for these dry goods. So you can put an oxygen absorber in there as well, but we've pulled all the air out, so there should be no air in there to cause any rancidity. We have some oxygen absorber packets. These are some leftover ones that we attempted to save by excluding the oxygen from the chamber. This is a wide mouth, so you just use your wide mouth attachment for that. And just pop that over the top again, just like that, and use your tip to put into the hole on the top. Hold it in there nice and snug, and then just begin the oxygen vacuuming process. And it rises in pressure or vacuum as you go. There may be a better way to actuate this bleeder. If you're doing this a lot, you could develop some tendonitis. You may want to do like a foot actuated, or you can push it against the edge of the counter and use your whole arm to push it so its pressure is rising, and it's kind of plateauing there. So we'll check it here. So listen carefully as I pull it away. So we lost our vacuum, and we'll pull our top off if it's sealed. So it's sealed, so it didn't pull the flat off with it. All right, so those are good. Now, there may be other types of things that you would like to seal stuff in. For example, this jar here, we could just seal in the same way that, because it's the same kind of a lid, it's just a bigger jar. But there may be other odd-sized jars, like for example, a half-gallon pickle jar or something like that. This is a vacuum chamber that came courtesy of Rain Country, and it has a compressible rubber gasket lid, and it's a large PVC tube, has a cap, PVC glued on the bottom with a thistle tube grommeted into it and screwed in that we attach our hose to. So you can also use larger devices, or you could use devices like this. So this is just an old spaghetti jar of different sizes. So odd size lids, odd size containers. You could put 2 of these in. If you were doing small, like half pints or pints, you could put 2 of them in here at the same time. So this is not sealed, so we can just slide it into our chamber. You don't want to just drop it in because you don't want it to go clunking in. We'll take our lid, pop it on there. This is a big wing nut. It's going to squish it and expand and create a seal against the sides of the chamber. So get it good and tight. Should be able to lift it up with no problem. We have to extract our tip here from our lid top extractors. And you can just get out your knife and cut it off. Put on your thistle tube end there, and then do the same process. This is going to take a little bit longer because it's a larger chamber that you're using. So I'm using the countertop here as a tendon saver, and using my whole arm. It's taking longer because we have more air to extract. Looks like it's starting to climb a bit. And this would be used for things like large jars, like a pickle jar or something like that. It has a larger lid on it that would fit inside that chamber. So anything that would fit inside that chamber has a sealable lid. Then you could vacuum seal it with dry goods. So this is not for wet goods, because wet goods would spoil, and you don't want any spoilage to take place. So we're looking for it to start plateauing. Looks like it's plateauing here. The pressure was going higher on the cap tops, but this looks like it's plateauing right there. So let's just give it a go and see how that works. So listen for the suck. Might not come off very easy. We'll just do this. Nice seal that was set up in there. Okay, so there's our goods. Just reach in and grab them out. Let's see what we have here. So it looks as though we didn't get it all the way sealed. So that was a dud. Oh, there was a seal in there though. So these are raisins. So the button hadn't gone down, so it probably wasn't quite enough. But when I took the lid off, there was definitely a seal that had been actuated there. So perhaps we need to try and go a little bit higher on that. So you always want to check it. You never know with your different size, your odd size lids, how that sealing is going to take place. So that's how you use the larger chamber for the odd sizes. If I were doing this again, I might do two of these inside because they would stack on top of each other. You probably couldn't get them side by side because there's not enough room inside there for that. But definitely, so use the vacuum leader arrangement for storing dry goods, things that are dried. You can do it for seeds, for grains, for things like yeast flakes, and other powders like powdered soy milks and things of that nature. And that's the brake bleeder vacuum sealer for dry goods.
To be aware of new videos like this one, be sure to subscribe to the Preparing for the Time of Trouble channel. For more free videos and downloadable audio podcasts, as well as handouts, go to www.preparingforthetimeoftrouble.com. Topic categories include recordings of live seminar presentations, country living, sustainable gardening, homestead remedies, how to be self-sufficient when the grid goes down, wild edible and medicinal plants, hydrotherapy, and end-time Bible prophecies. To take advantage of these free resources, go to preparingforthetimeoftrouble.com.